Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. Welcome to Extreme Recap, everyone. Subsequent to leaving jail, an expert warrior should penetrate underground battles to satisfy the commitment he made to his late companion. We'll go over the plot of the 2009 movie Blood and Bone in a penitentiary today. Bone is cautioned by his companion that a pack is coming there to dispense with him. He asks the man to step aside in order to avoid being hurt and waits until JC and his partners arrive after hearing this. While they surround Bone in the bathroom, the gang pays one of the guards to ignore them. JC is grasping a sharp item and assaults the prisoner, who rapidly gets the weapon and punctures his rival's left shoulder. The other members of the gang immediately begin to pursue him, but Bone knocks them all out with a single blow. In the wake of serving 5 years in jail, Bone is delivered and needs to track down a spot to remain. Because they were advertising a room for rent, he goes to Roberto and Tamara's house. There were also 3 young people living there. Also, Jared, the most youthful, is continuously sitting before the window, watching out onto the road. The new resident is directed to his room by Tamara, who informs him that, due to the presence of children, he must abide by certain rules. He can stay as long as he doesn't get involved in gangs, guns, or illegal drugs. To ensure that he will keep the room, the ex-con quickly accepts the woman's terms and pays the rent in advance. In Los Angeles, road battles happen consistently, and many individuals go to watch the duels between the contenders. Albeit unlawful, this is a very rewarding business for both the difficulties and the bettors who put truckload of cash in who they accept will be the boss. Additionally, there are agents who source talented fighters for these street fights. James is the most powerful and influential of them all. Their boss is Hammerman, who enters the ring with Cowpoke, a lot more modest contender than him, yet at the same a lot quicker. However, Cowboy is unable to escape the clutches of one of the most brutal fighters to ever fight in that ring due to his speed. The challenger will soon be eliminated by Hammerman. When Pinball declares victory and ends the fight, the man then gives James the money because his opponent lost the fight. Pinball returns to his vehicle after being completely defeated, and Bone surprises him. Who was waiting behind him? The fighter says he wants to fight Hammer and offers 40% of the profits so the man can schedule the fight. Nonetheless, Pinball has proactively lost huge load of cash and chooses to test Bone abilities prior to setting him in a duel against James's best contender. This being the situation, he goes to another specialist and bet a cash so that Bone gets an opportunity to get into a battle. Subsequent to watching his challenger, Bone sets up for the assault and with a head kick, figures out how to bring him down effortlessly. The man is unable to stand up as a result of this blow. Therefore, Pinball withdraws the bet funds and returns home with his new champion. While Pinball is arranging his next battles, Bone inquires about his knowledge of the woman who was with James. After that, his agent tells him to stay away from Angela and that she was married to another man until James set him up to get him arrested. Angela was about to give birth when the man claimed her as his girlfriend. Furthermore, James made her put the youngster up for reception to help her hopeless life. Angela started utilizing unlawful substances and ultimately turned into a fiend. The following day, when James is preparing meat for his dogs, Teddy shows him a recording of a Bone fight in which he beat his opponent with a single kick. James is intrigued and plans to converse with Pinball about his new boss. However, prior to that, he asks Teddy to accompany him as he feeds his dogs. The pit bulls are then ordered to attack him by him. However, as he continues to hold the dogs by their collars, he only does this to frighten him. Roberto and Bone are playing chess on the porch that afternoon. Bone has just won the game and takes the money from the bet he made with Roberto before leaving when Pinball parks his car in front of the house and calls the fighter. At the point when he shows up at the field, the contender is confronted with a duel of ladies. What's more, Pinball lets him know that he has had a relationship with one of them. Minutes after the fact, this young lady is taken out and Verrett is reported the victor. Pinball goes to talk to Tattoo, the agent who has the best fighters in that area, at the end of the fight. He bets $5,000 on him after telling him he has found a new fighter. This time, Gold Teeth must face Bone. And once more, he knocks him out with a single blow. He is known as the fighter with one hit because of this remarkable feat. Be that as it may, When Pinball goes to get the cash, Tattoo makes another interest. Bone should battle two difficulties immediately. Due to a double error, the fight has barely begun when Bone strikes out one of his opponents. He breaks the second fighter's arm with a wrench shortly after, knocking him out. Tattoo doubles the bed once more, unable to comprehend what has transpired. This time, 3 fighters had born, but in a matter of seconds. They generally meet similar destiny as their partners who entered the ring with the ex-convict. Tattoo, furious, refuses to pay the $20,000 debt. The man challenges Bone to take that money after doubling the bet twice and keeping the money in his pants. He eventually goes. As the contender thumps down each and every individual who attempts to prevent him from moving toward Tattoo and advances while utilizing his abilities to strike those folks. Bone rips off the deadbeat's pants and takes the money after punching him. While the two business partners are chatting, Pinball congratulates Bone on the fight and says he has never seen anything like what happened that night. Verita is impressed with the man's performance and gives him her phone number. Tattoo appears and fires at them with a machine gun. Immediately, the car moves quickly thanks to Pinball, and neither of them were hurt in the process. Bone devotes all of his time outside of the ring to practicing his Tai Chi, and the duo starts making a lot of money from street fights from that point on. The fighter's distinctive fighting style makes an impression wherever he goes. And his popularity begins to rise. He is known to be completely invincible in a duel, regardless of how strong and well prepared his opponent is. However, one night, when he arrives home in the middle of the night, Morrow notices that his shirt is stained and that Bone has a wound on his forehead. The woman asks him to sit down in order to bandage his wound out of concern. Bone asks Tamara why she is up at that time. Even though the children are not her biological children, the woman does her best to care for them and keep them from becoming social outcasts, revealing that she must get up early to prepare breakfast for them before heading to work. When asked why he is always looking out the window, Jared tells Morrow that the boy who has been living with her for a year is always waiting for his parents to return for him. Morrow doesn't know where his mother is, but he does know that his father is in jail. Bone was going to go higher up to his room when the woman inquires about his Tai Chi training. She claims to have always been interested, but she has never found a teacher. As a result, Bone makes the decision to support her practice and demonstrate some of the moves to her later in the afternoon. She is happy about the relationship they are developing when she looks out the window at Morrow and sees the wrestler teaching Jared some moves. As always, Bone plays chess with Roberto before Pinball arrives to accompany him to the fight. This time also, he is the one who loses the contest. In the meantime, James keeps on threatening every individual who impedes him. Monique, a woman, is the target this time. One of James's partners has accused her of being dishonest. So she turns out to be oppressed, realizing that the man won't allow her any opportunity to account for herself. Monique attempts to scale a metal railing as she flees. James, on the other hand, sped up his car and ran her over before she could get away, splattering blood all over his windshield. The man meets Roberto as he is leaving the location and realizes that he may have witnessed the events of that night. As is customary, Hammer will face Bone in a fight. Prior to entering the ring, the fighter takes a number of substances that boost his agility and strength. Pinball introduces the main event of the night after speaking with James, and the two fighters get ready for the duel. Hammer launches the attack, but Bone avoids him and manages to land several punches on his opponent. Hammer is knocked down after taking a few blows, but he manages to get up quickly. On the other hand, he is met with a series of punches and kicks that permanently knock him out, allowing Bone to win another fight. By then, Pinball goes to gather the obligation from the bet. The businessman then proceeds to speak with Bone after receiving the money. James remarks that he has never witnessed anything like it in his entire life and commends him for his flawless movements. Knowing that James is a dangerous individual, he then invites the fighter and his agent to his house to celebrate his victory and discuss business. Pinball attempts to decline the greeting, however Bone says it will be a delight to visit him. The businessman receives the pair at his residence a few days later and introduces Angela to Bone. James notices that the fighter keeps staring at her while Pinball goes to get a drink, despite the woman's refusal to acknowledge him. Bone is invited over by James to see the room where he practices martial arts. According to the businessman, He has always admired skilled fighters and holds the belief that a warrior's life should be pure in spirit and body. He does not swear, smoke, or drink because of this. James claims that he is not like some thug who relies on illegal drugs for his livelihood. Additionally, he claims that realizing that he is not like that also led him to identify with Bone. The man asks the fighter if he knows how to use the swords he has collected. However, Bone asserts that he does not possess any weaponry expertise. James reveals the real reason he invited the fighter to his house after a few minutes of conversation. He claims to know Franklin McVeigh, the manager of a great fighter. Price has already defeated 4 opponents in the ring, despite his ordinary and uninspiring appearance. In addition, the challenger must pay a cool $5 million in order to compete with him after years of winning the title of best fighter in the world. What's more, James will pay that sum so that Bone can battle. The issue is that the fighter must advance in ranking before he can compete with him. James, on the other hand, is of the opinion that he will be able to persuade Franklin to organize this fight. Subsequently, he requests that Bone face cost in a duel with a commitment that on the off chance that Bone successes, he can resign with huge load of cash. Albeit this is endeavoring proposition. Bone doesn't acknowledge it right away and says he will consider it toward the finish of the gathering. James spots Angela searching for something on a dresser and approaches her with a little container in her grasp. The illegal substance that the woman was looking for was present. Additionally, James informs her that she will need to do him a favor in order to obtain that vial back. James means to initiate unresolved issue his proposition and to do as such, requests that Angela assist him with enticing him. However, the woman refuses to get involved with the fighter, so James uses threats to coerce her into following his orders, knowing that even if she doesn't, her life could be in danger. When Bone arrives at her room, Angela invites him in and threatens him with a gun. In any case, she is shocked when the contender takes out a photograph from his pocket and expresses that, in his final words, Danny requested that he deal with his significant other and child. Angela is so nervous when she sees the photo of her former family that she starts to feel sick. She then asks Bone how she met her husband. The warrior then, at that point, tells how he met Danny in jail, and they became extraordinary companions, notwithstanding. Danny was attacked by JC one day while they were getting together to play chess. His gang Bone watched as his friend was beaten to death but did nothing to save him. The man asked Bone to care for his family and gave him that picture before he died. Angela relates that she had known for some time that James set Danny up to be with her when he was released from prison after learning the truth. She also knew that the man would have eliminated Danny and her son after so many years if she turned him down. The mother has no idea where her son is or whether he is still alive. However, Bone assures her that he knows where the boy is and will take Angela to him, which relieves her. Following a couple of moments, the two leave the room and find James. Bone asks the financial specialist to leave Angela with him for a couple of days. James also says that he will take the deal if the fighter can do the same for him. Bone says he will give back in kind. Additionally, on the same night, James instructs Angela to pack things. The fighter promises to take the woman to see her son as soon as she can kick her addiction and directs her to a rehab facility. The following morning James pays a visit to Franklin's mansion and purchases the $5 million to counter the price. Following a couple of moments of a strained discussion, the tycoon expresses that he will plan the battle. Franklin, on the other hand, promises to send James back to the suburbs within 3 days if he is dissatisfied. Bones ought to be prepared for the fight, as some of his partners will remain at his residence. It is late around evening time when the ex-convict gets back to track down Roberto's body on the floor. The location is surrounded by police officers looking into the scene of the crime. Right away, Bone races to the upcoming space to beware of her, and the lady lets him know that 2 pit bulls have been released on him. Roberto has been chewed up like a piece of meat in his last moments. The woman and the fighter end up sleeping together after the fighter tries to calm her down. That evening, Jared wakes the couple up hours later. James exuberantly informs them that he has managed to schedule a fight against Price, and Bone asserts that he never said he would fight. The boy claims that a man has shown up looking for Bone, and Tamara gets up in fear when the woman and the man leave the room. He had said he would consider it and chose not to enter the duel. James, enraged, tries to draw his sword, but Bone prevents him. James then takes Morrow hostage and threatens to shoot her after she attacks him and throws the weapon away. But because he is worried about what Bone might do, he decides to leave without hurting anyone. As soon as the man leaves the house, Bone gives him some money and asks her to take the kids to a hotel until he gets in touch with her in his car. Within 15 minutes, James instructs Teddy to activate his killer team. Hammer then pursues Pinball and attacks him in an effort to reveal the location of the bones. However, the agent says nothing at all. After a few minutes, Bone appears and seizes the gun from one of the robbers during the firefight. After eliminating the entire group, the fighter helps his friend stand while searching for Angela. Teddy has a conversation with a woman who says she saw Teddy at the rehab clinic where she was admitted. However, Teddy and his team are taken aback by Pinball when they pursue her. Bone then appears and eliminates the individuals who emerge from beneath the blanket armed with 2 pistols. At the point when James calls one of his men to affirm that they have gotten Angela, Bone responses and states that he is pursuing him to draw him into the battle against Value. James sends his area and drives rapidly to Franklin's home, where his partners are accumulated to watch the battle. At the point when Bone shows up on the scene, he breaks into the house and is shocked by a steward who is grasping a rifle delicately. He is led into the courtyard by the man, where there are various watches completely prepared to dispose of him, if fundamental. Before his most noteworthy adversary, Bone stands up to him and blames James for ending Roberto's life. When first heard this, the financial specialist asserts that the elderly person knew excessively, so he needed to kill him. Not fulfilled. The contender gets James to concede that he put Danny in a position to get captured and circumspectly tapes the whole admission. The video is then sent to Pinball, which sends it to the police. Price appears at that point and extends an invitation to his opponent. The conflict starts. Furthermore, the audience is barely able to keep up with the fighters' rapid movements. Both challenges receive violent blows and demonstrate exceptional martial arts skill as the fight begins in a draw. At a certain point, be that as it may, Cost takes his rival to the ground and tosses an armlock with his middle. He manages to knee his opponent in the head with immobilized Bone and escape immediately. The two stand up and Value starts to become disrupted as he is confronting the most grounded adversary he has at any point confronted. Presently, he is at this point not ready to protect himself against the assaults and turns out to be thumped down similarly as he was going to break one of Value's legs. Bone gives up and gives his opponent the victory. Irrational after losing $5 million. James goes after the contender and draws his sword. Bone figures out how to evade the blows, and Franklin orders one of his men to toss a blade so the warrior can shield himself. Right now Bone exhibits that, in spite of what he shared with James, he decides to attack him with only the sheath because he is very skilled with swords. Regardless of this, James can't land a solitary blow on his foe and after a few endeavors, winds up cutting his own clench hand with his blade. The police appear at this time, and Bone escapes. Angela leaves the rehab facility months later to meet her son. Jared is incredibly glad to see his mom. Interestingly, Angela also declares that she will never leave him. Bone makes the decision to leave on the same day because he believes he has completed his mission. Before leaving, he tells her that he left Tamara a money envelope and asks her to let Angela live there with Jared for a while they walk down the stairs. The contender runs into Pinball and expresses farewell to his previous specialist. Bone can now proceed with confidence knowing that he has kept his promise to his friend. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.